Hi, folks. Thanks for joining us. We are going to hold for a couple of minutes and allow folks to join us. Thank you for being here. All right, we've had a few more folks join us. We're going to hold for one more minute and then we'll go ahead and get started. All right. Good morning and thank you for joining us. I'm Amy Weidstrom, the Executive Director of the League of Women Voters of Pennsylvania. I'm joined today by Susan Gobreski, the President of the Board of Directors of Pennsylvania League. We are also joined by 8 local league presidents and vice presidents who are here or who are hearing from concerned voters across the state. The League of Women Voters of Pennsylvania is here today to set the record straight about the disinformation being spread ahead of the Pennsylvania Supreme Court retention election and about the League's 2018 redistricting case. In the past few weeks, voters across Pennsylvania have received mailers and seen ads, paid for by special interest groups and PACs backed by Pennsylvania's richest man, Jeffrey Yass. These distort the facts of our case and misrepresent the role of the Pennsylvania Supreme Court. Some even imply the League supports the message in these mailers. Let me be very clear. These materials are false and deliberately misstate both the facts of the 2018 League case and the court's constitutional role. Here's what really happened. In 2011, the legislature drew one of the most distorted congressional maps in the nation, guaranteeing one party a 13-5 advantage even when statewide votes were almost evenly split. In 2017, the League of Women Voters of Pennsylvania filed suit, along with voters from every congressional district, arguing that gerrymandered maps violated the state's constitutional promise of free and equal elections. The court ruled in favor of our claim. When lawmakers refused to fix their unconstitutional map, the court appointed an independent expert to draw fairer districts that reflected the will of the voters rather than one party or donors. The Pennsylvania Supreme Court did not gerrymander a map. It followed the law to protect voters. The court did not act politically. It acted constitutionally. It did not choose to step into this matter. It ruled in a case that came before the court. That is what independent courts are supposed to do. Pennsylvania voters deserve better. They deserve facts, and they deserve a democracy that cannot be bought.
Hi, my name is Susan Gobreski. I'm the president of the board of the League of Women Voters of Pennsylvania. We have people across the state who are working hard to educate voters. We're joined by local leaders who are part of their community, and we are here today to call out the falsehoods in these mailers, and furthermore, to provide voters with trusted information. Look, campaigning is one thing, spin is another, but deliberately false information is an abuse of the system. This is what Elon Musk tried to do in Wisconsin, use his wealth to try and buy an election. We don't want these Musk-style tactics here in Pennsylvania. It's yet another reminder that we need campaign finance reform here. Billionaires should not be able to spread lies to influence an election. They already have so many ways that they exert influence, special influence and access. Voters elect judges in partisan elections, but retention elections are supposed to be nonpartisan. As voters, we should be looking for whether judges are following the law and upholding the Constitution. There is a big, big difference between free speech and paid deception. Everyone has the right to an opinion, but no one has the right to lie to voters and call it democracy. They should really pull these mailers and apologize to voters. I'd like to introduce, I'm going to turn it over to my colleague Ruth Quint from Greater Pittsburgh to talk a little bit about perspective from what our local leagues are seeing as they work directly with voters.
Hi, I'm Ruth Quint from Pittsburgh. As a local league, we're part of our community here in Pittsburgh. And we've been hearing from voters who are genuinely confused by these mailers that cite the league's name. The league does not support these campaigns, and we never tell voters how to vote in any election. These mailers are factually wrong and deliberately misleading. This is a real disservice to Pennsylvania voters who are already struggling to find reliable, nonpartisan information about judicial elections. The league works hard every day to provide the facts that voters need.
Eileen?
Yes, hi, my name is Eileen Scheinson. I'm the president of the League of Women Voters of Bucks County. Public trust is undermined by these wealthy interests spreading misinformation to shape election outcomes. The Bucks County League works very hard every day to provide facts and to our voters, but need organizations like ours can't compete with billionaires, and voters are tired of being manipulated.
Anne.
Good morning. I'm Ann Mazakowski, president of the League of Women Voters of Central Delaware County. As a trusted, nonpartisan, community-based organization in Delaware County, our league has received multiple requests to address this targeted disinformation to voters. We are here to provide this nonpartisan, fact-based information and to empower voters. This disinformation campaign isn't about voter education. It is part of a growing national pattern of ultra-wealthy individuals using their money to confuse voters, undermine trust in elections, and weaken independent courts.
Good morning. My name is Carolyn Hernandez. I am the president of the League of Women Voters of Lancaster County. Voters deserve honesty and integrity in our elections, not campaigns driven by wealthy interests. We need to get big money out of our elections and let the facts, not wealth, guide our democracy. The League in Lancaster County works hard to promote free, independent, and fair elections powered by voters, not wealth. We aren't here to tell people how to vote. We're here to encourage all voters to reject mis and disinformation and learn the facts from nonpartisan trusted sources.
Thank you to our league leaders for joining us today. And thank you to Susan for being our fearless leader on our board. As Pennsylvanians prepare to vote, we urge everyone to rely on trusted, nonpartisan sources, not on mailers or ads funded by special interests and billionaires. We encourage voters to visit vote411.org, which is the League's nonpartisan voter tool that you can find online, and the League's website at PALWV.org to learn how judicial retention elections work and why fair courts matter. There is also information there to help educate voters on the disinformation campaign that we're seeing. Voters can also go to other trusted sources to get reliable information on these retention races, like the Pennsylvania Bar Association. Together, we can see past this noise. We can reject disinformation and protect our courts and our democracy from those who seek to distort it for their own gain. I want to thank you all for joining us today. We can now take a few questions from the press. If you'd like to raise your hand, you can use the raise your hand feature or use the Q&A feature through this virtual platform. And thank you for joining us today. Melinda, go ahead, Michael. Can you take Melinda off mute?
Hi, am I off mute?
Yes, we can hear
Okay.
you, Melinda.
Hi, Melinda Rizzo, Bucks County Herald. So my question is, will you have a transcript or a recording or something that you're going to be able to send out? I unfortunately had some trouble hopping on the link, and that would be helpful to me as I put my story together for Bucks County Beacon. Thank you.
Yes, we will be sending out a press release following this and also a recording of this. So you'll have both.
Great. Thanks very much.
Yes, of course. Are there any other questions?
Yeah, Melinda again.
Yeah.
This is for the Bucks County chapter president. Are you getting calls or contacts from folks in Bucks County who are either concerned or confused about this disinformation campaign that's happening?
Well, we are receiving some questions from our league members and their families in regards to the mailers that we're receiving and what's running on the TV and on social media in regards to what is truthful and what is not. So we are speaking to some individuals in that regard. So yes, we are.
Okay, thank you.
And the state league also receives questions about this.
Yeah, I've actually seen a number of questions in like a community Facebook group or people who are asking about it. So I think people are confused. I think people are concerned also about the way that the situation is being represented. So some people have followed. A lot of people are concerned about gerrymandering and whether or not districts are being drawn fairly and how the process is being used. So we have seen a lot of comments and questions from people across the state. It's the reason that we pulled this together to respond because this was our case. We brought the litigation because of the way that the maps were drawn, and the court just did its job. So we think that that's an important thing to focus on. They did not, point blank, did not step in to try and create a map. They responded to a claim, and that's our right as citizens to bring a claim in court about the way that government works. And that's what the court's job is.
I see a question in the Q&A, and then Mark, I see your hand. So the question in the Q&A, Susan, and I'm going to throw this to you first, is the League of Women Voters considering any kind of legal response to the organizations that funded the mailers?
We've had inquiries about that. We are having conversations about what steps we can appropriately take to respond to this. As I stated, I believe that they should withdraw these mailers. I believe that they should apologize. We don't have censure for special interest groups, but we definitely need to look at campaign finance reform. We will consider our options about how to pursue this, but right now, the question is going before voters. And the most important thing right now is to help make sure that voters have access to information. And people are interested, they're looking for information, and we want to make sure. And so people get mail. One of the things we would urge people to do is consider the source, ask your friends, look for trusted organizations, as Amy said, look for organizations. The League of Women Voters has been around for over 100 years. And, the partisanship has come and gone, waxed and waned. And the League of Women Voters continues to be here and serve our community. So we would encourage you to look at the resources we have and look into what these questions are because they are not, we are all aware that there are efforts to try and manipulate people, to try and take things, again, spin is one thing. Falsehoods are a completely different matter.
Thank you. Mark.
Hi, Mark Levy from the Associated Press. I think my question is sort of along the lines of the previous question, but has the league done anything formal in terms of try to contact the sponsor of the ad on the gerrymandered map to ask them to withdraw it or to apologize, or is the league doing an ad campaign of its own to try to correct the record as it sees it?
We are looking into how we are planning to respond. So the short answer is yes, we are strategizing about our response. voters are starting to vote already, right? So mail-in ballots have been received, and we need to get good information into the hands of voters. Again, nonpartisan, trusted information. And so we are rolling out a strategy to get that good information into the hands of voters, especially the voters who already have their ballots, right? We have to remember that voting has already started. And so, the short answer is yes. Susan, anything to add to that?
Yeah, we will be using the media that's available to us. As one of our league presidents pointed out, we don't have the kind of resources that billionaires have.
Yeah.
I wish I did. But we are going to be responding to the best of our ability. There's an old trope that the lies spread around the world while the truth is putting on its sneakers. So we are going to be working to get good information out to people, to respond, to correct the record. Again, we are not looking to tell people how to vote. That's a decision people have to make for themselves. I will be making one. I will be looking at whether or not I believe that the court followed the law and whether or not the court adjudicated the matter in a way that is consistent with Pennsylvania's Constitution. I will be looking at some of the rulings to see if I believe that they did a quality job. I don't like every law that courts rule on, but what I want is I want courts to follow the law. Like that is the most important thing in a democracy, is that people don't just make stuff up. That we follow a process. We all agree to win and lose sometimes, to live together, and to work it out, but we should be able to rely. It's one of those, you're entitled to your own opinion, but you're not entitled to your own facts. So we are going to be doing our best to reach as many people as possible, with the note about resources. These well-funded campaigns. This is, again, it's what Elon Musk tried to do in Wisconsin, was to try and throw money, to try and ordain an outcome in Wisconsin. Voters don't like it. Voters are going to reject it if they know about it. So I think that it's really important that voters pay attention and that we call out the way that money is influencing our campaigns.
And this is, again, why we called you all here today, right? We also, as a nonprofit and under the resource constraints, we don't have the money that YAS has or other billionaires. But we do also have a free press that is a watchdog. And so there have been some really great articles written about the mis and disinformation in this campaign. And we also are here to contribute to the spreading information that way as well. Peter, I see your hand.
Yeah, just to follow up on what Susan was saying about, deciding for oneself about whether the case was properly handled and properly decided. I've been covering these races for decades, a couple of decades now, and that's always been one of the problems. Frankly, over the heads of the average voters. Can you recommend a resource to help voters decide whether this case and others have been handled in a proper judicial way?
Yeah, so I have a few recommendations. One is on our website, we've got two specific pages actually related directly to the judicial election. It is hard for voters to find information about any judicial and municipal race, right? The campaigns are also strapped for resources. And so we've put together resources for voters, both on judicial elections in general and also on the facts of this case specifically. And I would say there are also Fair Districts PA, which is a project of the League of Women Voters, has very good resources on this case specifically. Again, they are focused as an organization on gerrymandering in fair districts. Your bar associations, the Pennsylvania bar associations, have an elaborate vetting process of all of the candidates and make nonpartisan recommendation based on their sort of fealty to the Constitution and to the law. And so I would encourage folks to go to the Pennsylvania Bar Association. Some of the local bar associations, like the Lancaster Bar Association, also supports this effort. There are a series of recorded events that both the League and Pennsylvania for Modern Courts and Committee in 70 have done over the last month. We held a a fireside chat with the Supreme Court retention candidates. You can find that on the League's YouTube channel. We've held webinars on what retention elections are and why we have them and how to find good information. So I would say the League of Women Voters, your bar association, the Pennsylvania Bar Association, Pennsylvania for Modern Courts. There's a lot of really good nonpartisan information out there. And I know it's hard to find, so we're trying to consolidate it all into our website, and our partners are doing the same.
Yeah, and I'll just I'll echo that, and and also just assert, look, gerrymandering has been a hot topic. It comes and goes in part because of the redistricting cycle, but people can look at the map that the legislature put forward. If we can put that slide up again, I would encourage people to look at it. At a very simple level, there was the map that the legislature drew. We litigated about it, and then the result was there was a court ruling made that resulted in a map that was more fair, cleaner, more appropriate, more constitutional. And so, that's another way to judge at the very simple level. If redistricting is something voters should pick politicians should not be picking their voters. That's one of the things we have stood for over a long time and will continue to fight for. We continue to work right now on working to get redistricting legislation passed so that to provide better guidelines and better constraints to make sure that legislators are allowing voters to make the choices instead of choosing their voters. So this, at a very simple level, there's a contrast here. The first map, legislature drew, League of Women Voters took action. Second map, the outcome.
And I'll say that in the first map, like I said, it was 13-5 favoring one party over another when that was not the result of the election. The second map, the congressional delegation was much more evenly split, reflecting the will of the people of Pennsylvania, right? And so again, to just amplify Susan's point, politicians should not be picking their voters. Voters should be picking politicians. And I'll add, ultra wealthy people in this country and in this state should also not be picking outcomes of elections. Voters should be picking outcomes of elections. So we're just encouraging voters to please, look at nonpartisan information, question what you're getting in the mail, question who's behind it, and make your own choice. Peter, is your hand still up, or is that an old hand?
Sorry, that's old. Thank you for your answer.
Great.
We will be sending out the press release. We'll be sending out the visual. If you are interested in a contact with a local league leader, we'll make sure that you're connected, and we're available for follow-up. We will continue to provide information to voters. We will continue to provide. We are going to be engaging in outreach and making sure that we do our best to reach as many people as possible. And we continue to be grateful for a media that pays attention to these issues and helps act as the additional estate while we still have an opportunity to have an open dialogue. And again, I would love to hear whether or not any of the people involved have regrets about this mailer and the information and whether or not they're being called on it, because I hope that you all are contacting them as well. The press is contacting them to ask them if they stand by their statements. Thank you for coming.
Thank you. Thank you everyone for joining us today. And we'll be sending out a follow-up.